Top of the morning, everyone. Father Peter here. Thankfully, Father Joe is not here. He's out doing a few errands and messages, but you'll be hearing from him later on, possibly next week. Just a few items I want to address with you. First of all, for your continued loving support and prayers for our parish and the church itself. We're very, very, very grateful to many of you who have been able to continue to support us financially. That's a wonderful, wonderful gift and blessing, not for Joe and myself, but especially for the staff whose finances and support of their families depends upon the generosity of the parishioners. First item I want to address with you just on opening up of the parish. To be very, very honest with you, after some very serious thought and reflections and conversations with Father Joe and staff members, I'm extremely, extremely on the side of caution and slow. Very, very cautious and slow. I am in no hurry whatsoever to open up the church for Mass or personal prayer. I do not want to jeopardize anyone's health or well-being. I know, and you know, people's wonderful intentions in their prayer life. And sometimes that's very hard for us to realize the Lord might want us to pray in a different way than we're used to doing. So, until further notice, we will not be offering the church as a place to gather for prayer, or will we be celebrating Mass? When that happens, I don't really know. Quoting one of the wonderful gentlemen, it was actually in today's newspaper. Dr. Fauci has a wonderful statement, if I can share that with you. And this was his advice. If we do not really have a significant diminution in the number of new cases and hospitalizations, and we're at a level where it's really very, very low, then again, according to guidelines, we may be able to go forward in whatever phase you're in. If we do not have that reality, as I said before, I would have significant reservations about that or opening up. And Father Joe and I and our staff fully agree with Dr. Fauci's advice that going slow and opening up right now would really be jeopardizing everybody's well-being and their health. I know that's going to disappoint some people. I'm sorry for that. Joe and I and our staff also, we're not going to be pressured into opening up and doing something we don't believe in our heart is the right thing. Other parishes, that's their decision to do what they think is best for their people. Father Joe and the staff and myself, we don't feel it's in your best interest or ours as well to offer Mass for people on Sundays. Whether it's 30 people or 60 people, our own understanding is the Mass liturgy is for everyone. So I would want to limit something so precious and beautiful. And we have the virtual Mass that's been so very, very successful and popular. It's really a joyous celebration when we come together to do that. If we open up the church under the preconditions that are now being set forth, it's just going to be a feeling of anxiety and fear in people's minds and hearts, and not really one of joy and enthusiasm, which we really believe is what Eucharist is all about, that everyone's invited to the table. How are we going to limit it to 60 or 100 people? To us, it just does not make sense. Also, I'd like to refer you to an article, if you will, in America magazine, dated May 27th, 2020, by a Michael O'Loughlin, speaking about Mass and how some parishes and dioceses are moving forward with that in their own unique ways. So just to be clear, we will not be offering Mass here at St. Catherine's or St. Anne's for the foreseeable future. And when we do, we will give you ample notice to do that. And again, that's after a wonderful conversation with so many people who are willing to work on the opening up process It was a wonderful committee of about 16 or 18 folks. We met again last night, and they have just done tremendous, tremendous work to kind of make it as safe as possible for God's people, and the same for the staff. But given that beautiful effort, we just don't feel it's in everyone's best interest or the best health interest to gather together for prayer. Secondly, unfortunately, going back again, there's a scam going out. I'm supposedly asking people by email, and if people knew me, you know I would never use an email to ask you for something, that I'm asking people to send me money, so to send this particular address money for buying items for a family who are suffering from the COVID-19. Imagine that. That's how clever and devious some of the folks are. So please, please, it may look like it comes from me, but it's not from me. So as I was teasing Father Joel last night, I think what I have to do now is saying ugly things at the end of my communications. Instead of saying many blessings, I can say something very negative that people say, oh yeah, that's from Father Peter. And you know it wasn't from me. So please, be very mindful. Don't ever, ever give money without first checking out. Remember, one of our great leaders said, trust, but verify. Always, always verify. We have one parishioner who just out of great generosity has given $400 to this false address. And there's nothing police can do about it. All they do is they tell you to send out emails to all your parishioners of this scam that's going on. I spoke about this now twice before, about 4 years ago when it first happened, and then about 2 years ago when it happened again. And here it is back again a third time. So please, please, if I need money or a favor, I'll ask you personally. I'll come right down to your house and get it, okay? So don't be worried about sending somebody an email. Nextly, Father David is continuing to rehab from his coronavirus, keeps testing positive. He's at the Massachusetts Eye and Ear Institute right across from Mass General Hospital, also known as Mass Eye and Ear. They have a coronas floor all dedicated to people who are testing positively. And Father David, we know, is a very positive person, so he's already tested positive 4 times. And they usually a 2 or 3 day interval. But every time he's tested, he's come out positive. God love him. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Another thing I need to ask you to do is many people may not have access to technology. Your neighbors, especially people who might be a little bit older and who do not use technology or have access to it whatsoever. So they may not be getting any of our messages and our need to communicate with them. So if you would please, please, just send us a note, very simply. My neighbor, Peter Quinn, lives at 107 North Main Street. We know doesn't have any access to technology that we can communicate with them, because we need to stay in touch with all of our parishioners. Fair enough? And then lastly, something I had mentioned, maybe a year or 2 ago, the possibility of my going back to the hospital for surgery. Well, that's a reality now. Fortunately, and I'm very fortunate, that I have an operation date for June 3rd, this coming Wednesday, at New England Baptist Hospital. What they will do is they're inserting some rods in my spine. I have a fracture in the spine area on L3, L4, but mostly in L5. So that's the process that will be involved. So I'll be at the hospital June 3rd. Imagine I have to get up, I have to be there by 5:30 in the morning. Oh my God, that's the hardest part of the operation for me. And then I'll be there for 4 or 5 days. And then, depending on how I feel or their advice, I may have to go to a rehab for a week or so. just to be able to get my balance and strength back, depending upon what kind of medications they need to offer to me. So I thank you for your prayers and your wonderful help and support to Father Joe. Again, he's the only one in the bullpen, so we don't really have access to any other priests. Father Richard O'Brien may be available for us to assist. He's helped before, but there's no guarantee on that as well. So again, thank you for all that you are and for your wonderful understanding. And our real concern for you, as much as we all love to come together for the Eucharist, your safety, your well-being, and your health is of primary importance to us. So again, thank you for your prayers and for all of your love and gentle support. God love you.